All right, the Utah Jazz get a nice win against the Houston Rockets, who are playing with almost nobody. This is the Hoops Nerd post-game show. All right, guys, the Jazz found a way to make a game interesting against a team that was missing, I believe, 8 of their rotation players. It was not an impressive outing from the Jazz in any way, really. I mean, you watched a Jazz team that came out and was obviously playing kind of in cruise control, uh, but you can't do that. I mean, if you're trying to get some confidence in this Jazz team and what they are in this core, and if this core can go all the way, tonight was not a night where you came away going like, wow, I'm really impressed by the Jazz. As far as the Rockets, the story is that they just didn't have anyone playing tonight that you're, that familiar with. I mean, Sterling Brown is I believe he came from the Bucks and he's kind of a fringe rotation player. He can shoot the ball though. Tonight he was 37% from 3. Macklemore has been a part of the Rockets rotation for. I'm like looking at their their players. Kevin Porter Jr. had those issues. I can't remember. Was he on? I can't remember if he was Cleveland or where he was. But he has talent, and he was tonight the best player for the Rockets in a lot of ways. 27 points. He has talent. I don't know if he can ever be. Who knows? Maybe if he gets a chance with this Rocket team, if this Rockets team is just kind of tanking at this point. To try to get a better pick. You never know. But I don't know. Not a lot to say about the Rockets other than that it's been a rough year for them. Rockets fans having your best player demand to leave, have all these guys get DMPs. You have PJ Tucker that wants out, and it's just been a bad year for the Rockets fans. So I feel bad for you a little bit to have to deal with that. That's no fun. So sorry, Rockets fans. For Jazz fans, it's weird how both teams lost tonight in a way. The Jazz just did not look impressive. The one who looked most impressive for the Utah Jazz was Rudy Gobert and his incredible defense. 6 blocks tonight for Rudy, and he looked pretty solid on the offensive end in terms of just rolling to the rim and scoring at the rim. Tonight, Rudy Gobert was 5 for 9 from the field, so that's pretty decent. 13 rebounds, and like we said, the 6 blocks. He was just really, really dominant inside. And honestly, this is one of those nights where it's like you might have got if you didn't have Rudy Gobert, because he just stopped everything at the rim. He was fantastic. Fidel Lopez, yes sir. Real talk, I hated those green jerseys. Really? I liked the green. I actually liked it more than I thought I would. I don't think it's my favorite. I like it more than yellow, I'll tell you that. But I thought the greens looked pretty nice, and we went with green theme tonight. All green. I can't wear green because then it doesn't show up because of the green screen. But the green uniforms looked really good. But if you didn't like them, then, I don't know. I guess we both don't agree. Donovan Mitchell had a nice night, 28 points, but the field goal percentage wasn't ideal. 39% from the field, 33% from 3. Donovan's got to, what's nice, though, is you've got to give credit to Donovan. 8 assists tonight. Honestly, he probably could have gotten more. I feel like there's when I'm watching Donovan, and he really is the key to everything the Jazz do on offense. If Donovan is creating shots for others with purpose, he's fantastic. And tonight, his 8 assists, you got to give him credit. He was playmaking, and he was doing some nice things, although he was just there's just a lot of shots that he'll take where it feels like the pass out to the 3 is like a save me pass. Oh crap, I'm not going to make the shot. Let me fling it out to whoever is open at 3. And then there's plays where he's going to the rim and he creates a 3 with purpose, to a Royce O'Neal in the corner or a Bojan or something like that. And it's great. And I wish we just saw a little bit more of that from Donovan. He plays against the 76ers. Second half, they switch Ben Simmons onto Donovan Mitchell. And it's like he takes it personal. It's like he has to go at him. It's like he has to prove he's an elite scorer. And it doesn't go very well. And what I want to see from Donovan is get excited about getting double-digit assists, It's okay to, go to the rim, have the defender, whether it's Ben Simmons or whoever, taking that elite defender and taking them to the rim and kicking out to an open three-point shooter or to a secondary playmaker like Mike Conley or Joe Ingles or someone like that, so that they're getting a possession against a lesser defender. There are so many things that will go well if Donovan Mitchell is creating if creating on purpose and not by accident, that the shot doesn't fall. So he like save me pass to the perimeter. Instead, he's like going and creating passes with purpose. I just think sometimes he's got to slow down. And I know there are times where you've got Ben Simmons on you and he's an elite perimeter defender and you're trying to beat him and you're going 100 miles an hour. It's really hard to do. But that's what takes you to that like top 10 level player, is if at that level and at that speed you can still be under control. That's what makes you elite. And that's what takes you from like, all-star to superstar, or to like, first team all NBA, stuff like that. That's what takes you to that next level. And he's not like a Luka Doncic. He's not like LeBron. He's not like one of these big wings that can use physicality to create separation and then either get the easier shot at the rim or just like be able to see and make the pass with you by using your size. He's just not that big like that. And so his advantage is his quickness in that first step going to the rim. And he's just got to figure it out, because he can be Damian Lillard. He can be Chris Paul too. He can make those passes like Chris Paul does. He's never going to be at that level of Chris Paul. He's just not. But he can be a high-level playmaker that is a score-first guard. And I just think a little more of that from Donovan. The percentages will improve because we know how elite he is as a spot-up three-point shooter. And the pull-up three is actually looking really nice this year. If it's going in, then he's unstoppable. But I also just think that passing from Donovan could just like improve a little bit more. Let's see. Robert Hall, but Donovan was definitely not going for those mid-range jumpers, which I thought was better. Yeah, it wasn't. Donovan Mitchell didn't have a terrible game. I think the Jazz in general just played a little lax. Honestly, it was interesting if you saw Joe Ingles' comments after the game about Doug Burrell. That guy must have been a big deal. That guy must have really been a big personality in the Jazz locker room, because every single player, and even like players that have left the Jazz, were commenting on it. Like Jeff Green was sad about or Ed Davis was commenting on it. I think Jeff Green made a comment about Doug Burrell having passed away. Like, this guy must have been a big deal in that locker room. And you saw the pregame where Rudy's crying when they were doing the moment of silence. I mean, they're playing after having lost someone that was obviously very important to them. So I wonder if the Jazz were just a little bit like melancholy during this game, a little bit. Maybe. It could have honestly been a part of it. But you know what else? Also playing against a team like the Rockets, who are just playing their heart out. Every single guy on the Rockets tonight is fighting for their life to stay in the league. They are literally going to kill themselves to try to get seen by some team saying, hey, well, let's take a shot at Kevin Porter or whatever, or at, another contract to Macklemore or something like. They're all just playing their hearts out to get signed by somebody. 10-day contracts, two ways. I mean, sometimes it happens where you're just like not in the, you don't have a huge amount of energy. You're sad about a guy that was important to you that has passed away. You know that you're playing a team like the Rockets, who are kind of going into tank mode. And so the effort's not there. And you've got the Rockets, who are filled with guys who are like, I don't care. I'm going to get a contract in the NBA. I'm going to play my mind out of my mind as best I can. And there's a reason that they come back. It just happens sometimes. It just does. I thought he showed patience tonight, Robert Hall. I agree. I think he was better. 8 assists is really good. Just the thing is we want to win a title, guys. Like, you want to win a title. That means you've got to go from great to, elite. And it's hard to do, but it's just every little edge, you've got to round those off. All those sharp little edges, you've got to just smooth it out as best you can. I feel like we watched different games or something. Maybe. I actually don't feel like I'm being as critical as some. I will say tonight, guys, apparently, according to Tony Jones, Quinn Snyder was as critical of the Jazz tonight as he's ever been. So Quinn Snyder was not a fan, and I don't know if I'm completely there, because I feel like the Jazz were in cruise control a little bit, but there were things that could have been better, and the defense could have been better. And you know what else? And we've got to start talking about this a little bit. Derek Favors has not been playing very well lately. Tonight, Derek Favors 0 for 0 field goals, so he did not even take a shot. 0 free throw attempts, 2 rebounds, 1 assists, and 3 fouls and a +6. That's rough. That's really rough. And when you consider that the Rockets took, let's see, the Rockets took 111 shots and only made 41 of them. They were 36%. They took 111 shots. The Jazz only took 81. That's 30 more shots than the Jazz took. And Derek Favors had 2 rebounds. 2 rebounds. That's not good enough. That's just not good enough. It's not good enough. And I know, and Bogey takes some of that, although interestingly enough, but Bogdanovich was the biggest plus minus on the team. Bogdanovich tonight was 15 points. He was a plus 26. But you look at his numbers, 3 for 10 from the field, 30%, and 2 for 6 from 3, 33%. I think one thing that tells you is that Bogey stretches the floor for reals, for sure. 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I do like that Bogey does seem to be moving the ball better this year than last year, but man, 2 rebounds from Favors, 2 rebounds, and then Bogdanovich grabs you 5. I mean, Bogdanovich grabbed 5 rebounds, and that's 3 more than Derek Favors. Come on, Derek. That's all I got to say about that. I don't know if Derek needs some time to get better because maybe he's like playing on a bad back or bad leg or something like that. The guy needs a few days off, I think. I don't know what the deal is, but he looks just like not. And I know he's backing up Rudy Gobert, who is like the best defensive center in the league and probably the best defensive center we've seen since, like, and I'm not even kidding, Mutombo or Bill Russell. He's just so incredibly effective. But and so it's hard, like you can't judge Derek Favors too hard because it's like going from Gobert to anyone is going to be like, it's going to be a big drop off in terms of defense. But Favors just has not been. He's just not been good enough. I mean, when Derek Favors is playing great, it like takes the Jazz to just an incredible level. And I don't know why it's just we've seen this drop off lately. So I don't know. Robert Hall, Houston was definitely fighting hard the fourth quarter comeback. Yeah, they were playing really hard. Robert Hall, if more of the Rockets' balls had fallen, might have been a different game. Yeah, although Rudy Gobert's 6 blocks was a big deal. And they're not a very great three-point shooting team. Honestly, if the Jazz had this effort against a good team, they probably don't win tonight. The Jazz don't look quite right. Those 3 of 4 losses or whatever it was before All-Star break showed some real warts. And there's some trades the Jazz might need to think about doing. I just think that the Jazz don't get enough easy buckets. Sometimes I feel like the defense is a little bit fool's gold. I think the Jazz need to upgrade that defense in some way. And Ersan Ilyasova, we'll see. He didn't play tonight, so maybe he doesn't even play for the Jazz. I don't think he's like the answer for everything that's coming for Utah. It's kind of one of those things. I want to see him do well, but the schedule's pretty soft. Now would be the perfect time if you're going to bring someone in against a soft schedule to bring someone in and help them learn with the team so that when the playoffs come around, you're ready to go. I'm not gonna lie. I like Harrison Barnes and I like Larry Nance, and I hope one of those is on the Jazz here before trade deadline. I do, because I think both of those guys fix a lot of the issues we're seeing with Utah. I don't know. Harrison Barnes would be incredible if the Jazz trade for Harrison Barnes and he's our starting power forward instead of Bogey. The Jazz might win the title. He's really good, guys. Go look at Harrison Barnes' numbers and do a comparison with Bogey. He's unbelievable. Key himself, $2. Thank you, Key. I appreciate it. Why try if the refs are for LA teams? They hate Utah. Maybe. But the Jazz have done things in the playoffs in the past. Remember, the Jazz swept Kobe and Shaq in the playoffs. Swept them. So I don't know. The refs suck. I agree. The refs suck. They suck. They're bad at their job. They're really bad at their job. And there is like weird bias from refs towards stars. Like they call the game differently for certain stars, and I hate it. And I agree with you, Key. It's frustrating and it does make me worried. But if the Jazz are just hitting their shots and playing really well, it doesn't even matter. And if the Jazz can get back to like how they were playing during that 20-game stretch where they were just like, destroying everybody, I think they can win the whole title. But I do think we have some weaknesses, and I think I think the Jazz have felt those weaknesses. It's like, remember when Mike Tyson got knocked out and all of a sudden he couldn't win anymore because he realized he was fallible, and all of a sudden it was a mental thing and he couldn't really get back to himself. Or and we see that with boxers all the time. And I think it's the same with the Jazz. I think they got knocked out a couple times and they had some bad reffing, and you guys saw my reaction to some of the officiating. It was garbage. That 76ers game, they got screwed. They got jobbed. That was baloney. That Sixers game was a joke. The other games we talked about, there have been some bad reffing and bad, the refs are just not good, and they call the game. Oh man, guys, sorry, I'm tired. But the refs just are not good. The NBA refs are bad at their job. But Utah also had issues. Like in that overtime, Tobias Harris just went at Bogdanovic and just scored 3 times in a row, and it was game. And the Jazz just couldn't find a way to score at the end. And that was partly on Mitchell too. Like Mitchell needed to be a better playmaker and just couldn't hit shots. And by the way, can Donovan Mitchell hit some clutch free throws? My gosh, honestly, we win that 76ers game if Mitchell hits clutch free throws. That wouldn't have even been a question. But go look at Mitchell's free throws in the fourth quarter. It's been not very great, and he's got to hit those shots. Key himself, $2. Thank you, Key. Thank you very much. Why not play Morgan to have an extra big body? I love Morgan. I wish Quinn would give Morgan some chance at center and let Derek Favors rest, because I think Morgan provides some really nice things. The thing about Derek Favors is that the Jazz can play the same style that they do with Gobert when Favors is on the floor, where you have a big man running north and south on the pick and roll and drawing in defenders so that you can open up three-point shooters. Morgan's not quite the same thing. Morgan would be more of like a pick and pop center, and you're playing a completely different. And I mean, it's not completely different, but you're playing with a guy that's popping out instead of rolling to the rim, and that does some different things, and it's different. And for whatever reason, Quinn Snyder is reticent to do that. I don't know why, because I actually feel like Juwan Morgan is really, really, really good, and I think he actually might be a better player than Derek Favors right now, honestly. Robert Hall, 199. Jazz sweep refs. All I'm going to say to that is screw the refs. Screw the NBA officials. They are not very good. They're not very good. They drive me crazy. Tonight, although in their defense tonight, I thought the refs were good. I thought they called a very good game. I had no complaints. They missed a few fouls here and there, but whatever. It's just when they miss them so blatantly in big moments, and it's so obvious, is when it drives you crazy. But they were pretty good tonight, so no complaints here. I ain't gonna write anything to compliment them. I'll say that, because screw refs, by the way, always. That's all I got to say, guys, tonight. It's been a late night thing. I did a softball tournament this weekend, and I embarrassed myself a couple times, but actually I did okay. So that's why it was a little bit later tonight. I wasn't watching the game live. I had to DVR it. Everyone, thank you to the All-Stars. By the way, All-Stars, we're going to do the All-Star chat tomorrow. I want to do it tomorrow evening sometime. So we will hopefully do that around 7 o'clock Mountain Time. And one of the All-Stars, whoever can make it, that would be awesome. I'll post the link tomorrow. Let's just give a shout out to our All-Stars. Jorge Arizaga, Lee Christensen, Shan Therick, Ryan Perry, Justin Ty H, Patrick Akubo, Robert Hall, DW, Jazz Going All the Way, and David Lee. Guys, it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate all of you. I'm glad the basketball is back. That was a long break in between. I might do a video too about just like Jazz trades, and maybe we'll talk about that during the chat tomorrow. So if you want to be on that chat, join the All-Stars. And if you haven't joined the channel and you just want to be a part of the chat during the live videos, just hit that join button and you can be a part of this chat. It's a lot of fun. Also, there's for anyone who's a starter, I uploaded a video last night that shows about my set and my production and how what I do in terms of just like my green screen and my lighting and all that stuff. And so you can go see that. If you join the channel and you become a starter, you can go watch that. Anyways, guys, like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you join if you're interested in those things. And